talk about how the success of Pokemon the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back, as well as its impact on the franchise and even the whole video game adaptation landscape a quarter century later. We'll obviously have to go back to parts I was in the same time frame as right before it came to the US, especially, and even as it came out right in the height of the franchise's fever in 1999. I mean, as has been pointed before, while there were some doubts that the franchise would make it to market, let alone become the head that it was, there's key figures there's within developer Game Freak as well as many people that were big in Nintendo at the time did everything in their power to make it work. The results speak for themselves. The games flew off the shelves, the anime was a hit, and the trading cards also cemented themselves on the landscape, which is a Trinity business model that's still in use today in some form. And with that in mind, and it's clear that not only was the movie going to be a success, it would definitely not be the last, especially as more than 20 follow-ups ensued. And even though they're currently on hiatus, which we'll get back to in a little while, it definitely he managed to make its mark. Her actually he briefly holding the record for the most successful opening week of an anime film up to that point. Very briefly, given how it was broken just a couple weeks later, but I get ahead of myself. And like a great many people growing up in that time period, the late 90s, early 2000s, and there were multiple formative works that helped shape my perception and of pop culture at the point. And the Star Wars saga, which had just kicked into another phase of prequel trilogy in Episode 1, the early works of the DC anime universe, there's Batman the animated series, Superman the animated series, Batman Beyond, which it shared a block with, and of course Pokemon. And definitely combined with its two immediate sequels, almost all three of the first few films made a combined $364 million worldwide. Yes, I am a guy that owns these multiple formats. That's mean there are benefits to having stuff physically in this day and age. I mean, I'm not even sure we can even stream in these without having to pay an extra surcharge right currently. Still, as has been documented, there was a lot of work done, and even though the film did make money at the time and grossing well over $163 million worldwide, on a budget that was a fraction of that, it was actually and even though it was well regarded by both fans and audiences, as like many video game adaptations at the time, it took a critical drubbing. In fact, just for the fun of it, let's read a few excerpts of negative reviews I got at the time. The pacifist spirit of Brotherhood echoes the heroics in Princess Mononoke and other anime titles, but the artistic gap between the Miyazaki masterpiece and this project is huge, or bipolar variety. Adults may cringe at the preachy heavy-handedness and extremely limited motion animation that sets the art form back a couple generations. Michael Rexstaffen, Hollywood Reporter. It's just a sound and light show linked to the marketing push for Pokemon in general. Roger Ebert, Chicago Sun-Times. A shameless plug of Pokemon merchandise, you betcha. Mark Caro, Chicago Tribune. For the record, it isn't terrible. It's for a milestone in Japanese animation, not especially mental entertainment. Yet it doesn't try to be either of those things. Peter Stack, San Francisco Chronicle. Know this, Pokemaniacs. Your world is alien and barren to me. Richard Corliss, Time Magazine. Well, I know this may be it's harsh given the circumstances, but I suppose I print anything these days. Nevertheless, if I were to tell people at the time and sense that their dislike of the film is something personal, they would know I would not be lying, like some people I know. And among the landscape of animated TV show to movie adaptations at that time frame, it definitely understood the assignments. It may not have had celebrity voice actors in the film itself, but it definitely had them in the OST, which I'm currently listening to in the middle of editing this with artists including but not limited to Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, and NSYNC. It was obviously before we all found out about Perlman's dealings on that last one. Um, and and also definitely in similar spirit to earlier ones as 1986 Transformers movie or the first two 1990s Ninja Turtles movies. It was much darker than the show itself was, and even though the dub attempted to tone all of it down, enough of it remains that it definitely seemed like the stakes were higher. Here, I mean, basically, it's what happens when the ultimate life form is created. It would not take kindly to those it deems beneath them. And definitely, in a way, was a moment that changed the landscape from that day forward. I know it may seem silly to say, but I really don't think I'm joking given how it is now the most successful multimedia franchise ever. And apparently, given how well documented production history is, the film was actually going to be a very different beast entirely, with a very different storyline. And so, well before or the shift in lead and structure, it would have actually done that beforehand. It was one initial pass was gonna mean it was the chronological series finale, but as we all know, the franchise blew up and led to the perception that's lasted for, well, ever. And even with the initial rough steps video game adaptations had in that decade, it definitely stood out for actually being on the same page as the other parts of the company. In fact, in the literal whole decades that Nintendo was not willing to license out their IP for film adaptations, this franchise was the exception, with the Pokemon Company retaining the rights, and as noted, it having 23 main films releasing on a near annual basis, as from the late 1990s all the way until 2020, with the franchise being more or less on hiatus since, well, everything happened in that time frame. This, of course, brings me to another topic that intrigued me heavily since the Terror leaks are making the rounds, and there's still details coming out about that. The next film in development, the 24th main installment, currently under the codename Project Bauer, which is set to be a film targeting an older section of the fan base and focusing on the original 151 monsters, with Mew and Mewtwo being a major focus. I think that pitch sounds good, but I just still maintain there's one requirement I would actually like. To just see them drop the commentary angle which given the circumstances might not be the best idea, and just make a direct adaptation of original games, as several OVA miniseries proven before. We've done it before, we can definitely do it again. And in a way, with Detective Pikachu finding some success in this time period, grossing over $430 million worldwide, I'd briefly becoming the highest grossing video game adaptation of that point. I mean, in a way, you can thank and blame this movie's success for the video game adaptation craze we're in right now. I'm also intrigued by the Netflix event they're developing, as well as Jordan Point Roberts, Hertz directing the Ted Pikachu sequel. I mean, I still have more confidence in, say, this Gundam adaptation he left. Unless cameras are rolling only by the end of this year, I'm just going to consider that another false start. Ditto with the Voltron home film as well. So there's that. This will not be the only Pokemon related video I'll be doing this month. I just thought I would do some little experiments, and I'm still holding off on doing more of my Master James vlogs until I'm fully recovered from, in this case, the flu. Since I'm posting this video nearly a week before I started experiencing symptoms. That'll be all for now, and I'll see you all again soon, so seek out all Pokemon.